Motul Pole Award winners here for the 61st Rolex 24 at Daytona. We'll start with the pole winner for GTD, Philip Ellis, driver of the number 57 Windward Racing Mercedes AMG GT3. Philip's best lap was 1 minute 46.093 seconds. It's his first career pole in this competition. He won the Rolex 24 at Daytona here in the GTD class in 2021. And his 2023 co-drivers are Russell Ward, Indy Damcha, and Lucas Auer. Philip, congratulations, overall pole in GTD, ahead of the GTD Pro cars as well, and led a top 4 sweep for Mercedes AMG. Let's talk about how strong your car has been here, not only this weekend, but really, kind of throughout the last few years. I mean, Mercedes has been pretty strong here the last few years.
I think especially the last season, the last half of the last year's season, we were really, really strong, and the plan was basically to keep that momentum going into this year. And of course, the team did a great work in the off season. We worked a lot on the car in the winter, and it shows. I think all of the Mercedes did a great job. And I had a great lap, and it shows.
Thanks, Phil. Let's slide over to our LMP3 pole winner, Nico Pino, in number 33, Sean Creech Motorsports Ligier. Nico's best time was 1 minute 43.197 seconds. Also his first career pole in this competition. He's 18 years old, competing in his second Rolex 24 at Daytona, and is co-driving with Lance Wilsey, Danny Sufi, and somebody who has won here a few times, Joao Barbosa. So, Nico, congratulations on the pole. What did it take to make that happen, and how big is this for you at this stage in your career here?
Well, thank you very much. First of all, it was also my first ever career pole in car racing. So really happy for it. Special one, of course. Is long race coming ahead, 24 hours. 15-minute session versus 24, so now focusing on next week, trying to get everyone comfortable in the car. Just fine-tuning now. We've done a lot of work with the team to get the car up to pace, a lot of up and downs through the practice sessions, but we finally have a good baseline to start working with the team, and looking forward.
We'll slide over a couple seats to your right, to another driver with his first pole in car racing. Just kidding. Ben Keating, driver of the number 52 PR1 Matheson Motorsports Orica. Ben's lap was 1 minute 40.541 seconds. It's his 12th pole in this competition, 4th here at Daytona. Are those all consecutive?
Maybe.
We'll look that up. 2015 Rolex 24 at Daytona winner in the GTD class, and he's co-driving here with Paul Loup-Chatin, Alex Quinn, and Nicolas Lapierre. So Ben, familiar territory, as I mentioned, but probably never gets old. And what made the difference here today?
You guys probably may have heard me talk to Shay down there in Victory Circle, but for us in the P2 car, I felt like this was one of the more tricky qualifying sessions. You set your car up. I think every car I've ever driven here is always on the edge in the bus stop. But all weekend we've had a slight headwind going into the bus stop. Yesterday we had about 7 or 8 mile an hour headwind going through there, and that makes a huge difference on the downforce of making the transition through the bus stop there. Today we had about a 19 mile an hour tailwind, and so 28 mile an hour difference is a huge difference in our car, and it was really tricky out there today. I expected that it would be, but it's never quite real until you get out there and start doing it. And I had quite a few moments in the car at the bus stop, and I was not surprised to see a car go off there. I'm not surprised to see a GTP car go off there, because it was quite dramatic for us. But if we had a tailwind at the bus stop, it also meant we had a headwind going down the front straightaway, and I timed it really well coming out of turn 6 and going into the bus stop, getting through there. I got a nice tow all the way around from my buddy Stephen Thomas, and that made about a half a second worth of difference. So, you know, same thing I said to Shay, I feel like it really paid to know the weather today.
Thanks, Ben. We'll go to questions. I know John Oravitz has one. If anybody has any, stick your hand up and get a mic to you. John's up here and Godwin's here as well, so we'll get to you after we go to John, Godwin. So go ahead, John.
For Phil, congratulations on the first pole. Any extra satisfaction in getting the overall pole, including overall of the pro cars?
I mean, yeah, definitely. It's the same car, it's the same DOP. It's not like it used to be with the GTLM. So of course it's the icing on the cake, but it doesn't mean anything for the race, unfortunately. It's a completely different animal when you go into the 24-hour. But of course it's nice to know that you're at the top of the entire GT field, but it doesn't mean much.
Did you have a smooth roar, and what's your outlook for the race?
Yeah, so far I would say we had a perfect roar. As Ben said already, the weather has changed dramatically today, especially the wind going into the bus stop, which is the same even in our car, even though we are pretty heavy compared to the prototypes. And that was a big challenge. I actually had some moments on my first 2 flyers as well. But the team had a great roar so far. We have a great car underneath us, and I think we'll have the same in the race.
Go to Godwin. Any others? Stick your hand up. We'll get a mic to you. Go ahead, Godwin. You got a mic right in front of you.
Okay, this is for Nico. Can you just describe your lap? How how you work the track?
So of course with the team we decide a little bit the strategy for qualifying. We wait a couple of minutes in the box to have clear lap. As they said, the weather conditions change a lot with the tailwind, and also from the rain last night, track being very green. I shut up a lot on driving. I expected more of an oversteer car, but I turned to understeer, so it was quite challenging in the beginning. Had to change driving style and try to manage the gap with the other guys and understand how the car would behave and try lap by lap to get us on pole. But in the end, everything worked out perfectly, so pretty happy with it. Still some work to do, but now of course focused on the 24.
So this was your first pole. Were you surprised that you had pole, or was the team keeping up with you on the radio about that?
So they were keeping up with me, giving me all the lap times of the other guys, the guys ahead or behind me. So yeah, of course, pretty happy with it. I was surprised for having pole. Didn't feel that fast, to be fair, but in the end, it's a pole lap. It seems there's still a lot of work to do to fine-tune the car, but yeah, step by step, getting there. The team is happy with it. Now everyone looking forward for next week, and of course, keep doing what we're doing. The team has a lot of experience here. Joao has a lot of experience in Daytona, so yeah, pretty happy. Now, just keep doing what we're doing.
And Ben, can you talk about the importance of this weekend leading into next weekend? I mean, how important is this weekend?
Yeah, it's a huge deal, because especially when you have, this is the only race what we have in IMSA where you have 4 drivers, and even though you have a lot of practice sessions, getting 4 drivers comfortable in the car and getting them through the car and getting everybody enough time to feel comfortable is very difficult. I usually feel like nobody has enough time in the car that they really feel like, okay, I'm ready. And right now, everybody kind of usually feels like not a problem, we'll do it next week. And next week seems to go way faster. And so it's always a challenge to get everybody through the car, but it's not just the first weekend, before preparing for the Rolex 24, but it's the first weekend for the entire season. So many people are in with new cars or new drivers or new engineers, different BOPs, different aero packages. So much has changed that there's a lot of work to do for most teams. There are a lot of teams out there that, all the GTP cars as an example, there's a lot to do before the whole season, not just specifically for the Rolex 24, but obviously, that's, from my perspective, that's the biggest race of the year. And so you want to start off with a great race, and therefore I put a lot of priority on what kind of roar you have. We also have had we've had maybe even a perfect roar. We came in with a load of changes we wanted to make. We got through all of our changes, we got all of our good data, and we're ready to go racing. But you never, I don't feel like you ever really come into this event expecting to be able to get through everything, because you don't know what curveball is going to be thrown at you. So it's unusual that we're ready.
Okay, and then one more follow-up. The weather it changes so dramatically here, because yesterday it was kind of chilly, it was raining, then today it's sunny, but it's windy. I mean, can you and the engineers get together and talk about how to change the car for these changing conditions?
Absolutely, but I mean, that's what makes any 24-hour race interesting. And that's what makes Daytona interesting. This is my 13th Daytona Rolex 24 in a row, and I feel like I've seen it all. I've had so many different scenarios, yes, clearly you have to plan for whatever is coming at you. We put even though the weather currently looks like it's going to not rain next weekend, we put all 4 drivers through the car last night in the rain, just because we wanted to get everybody's feedback. We wanted to get everybody comfortable, and there weren't very many cars that went out. I'd say maybe half the field went out and half the field stayed in the garage, because we know that you never know. It's nice to be somewhat prepared for all those conditions, and golly, yes, I've been hearing some great weather, and I've been hearing some miserable weather, but like I said, that's what makes it interesting.
Are you getting better as you get older?
Let's see, so far so good is what I would say. I really feel like I've developed a lot as a driver, from being in the LMP2 with no ABS and I'll say a less sophisticated traction control, and again, driving in the World Endurance Championship in the GTE car, again with no ABS. I really feel like I have developed, but I feel like I'm going to turn the corner at any moment. I've got to enjoy it while I can.
Thanks, Ben. We'll let you guys go on about your afternoon, your race prep. We'll bring, oh, you got another one? I'm sorry.
How you doing? You mentioned something that was pretty intriguing to me. You have 4 drivers that go in the car during the 24-hour race. Could you give me an idea what the average driver time is per 24 hours? Some get 3 or 4. Now you've really got me intrigued about this.
So the minimum drive time from every driver is 4.5 hours. And every team, every engineer is going to have their own kind of a lineup. My old eyes don't see as well at night as they used to, and so I prefer to drive in the daylight, as an example. But you're not allowed to drive more than 4 hours during any 6-hour period. A little bit of my personal claim to fame is that I'm comfortable going for a longer period of time in the car, but my heart rate is about 15 to 20 beats per minute higher in the P2 than it is in a GT car, and so I won't go as long on a stint in the, if a full stint in the P2 car is 40 minutes, so if I do a triple stint, it's 2 hours. 2 hours in a P2 car is a lot, so.
And I have a follow-up question too. Being at Daytona Speedway, this to me, obviously, it has to be the crown jewel of them all. How much do you really enjoy racing here? not only with the 24-hour race or any race, but just in general compared to some of the other tracks that you race around the country?
Yeah, it's my favorite race, and not necessarily because I enjoy the track. You know, I've always been really quick here, and you know, you like the tracks where you're quick. But what I really love about it is it's all inside the speedway. You know, and from a fan's perspective, everybody's in the infield, and you can go to any corner and see what's going on. You can really follow the race well. I feel like the fan interaction is really strong at this particular track, and it's all in here. It's so strange, you know, you look at that picture on the wall back there, you know, it's got to be a NASCAR race, because in this race there's nobody in the stands. You know, everybody's in the infield right in the middle of the action, and it makes it a lot of fun. I'll have 85 guests here next weekend, and this is the track that I ask everybody to come to, because I feel like it's such a great spectators race. It's such a great, I'm able to interact with them. You know, I'll be in the car for whatever, I'll be in the car for 4.5 or 5 hours, but that means I've got 18 or 19 hours to hang out with my friends.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ben. Are there any others? Okay, guys, we'll let you get back to it. We'll let